welcome to this week's Parenting in My Pocket questions and answers, episode 2, where we're answering your parenting questions. I had a couple of messages during the week just asking about when the podcast was going to be out and when the videos were going to be uploaded onto YouTube. So that's all going to come along in the next few weeks. We will send you out a few messages on our social medias just to let you know when they're up and they can be viewed. I suppose in terms of the podcast, what we want to do is we'll bring you the Q&A, but we want to actually bring you more information and get some of that theory and make it easily understood and easily understandable for you guys. So they will be up fairly soon. We'll let you know when they're out. So I hope you guys have had a good week. Thank you for all the lovely feedback on last week's first episode. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and it was great seeing the comments and having people even message afterwards saying that they found it useful. I suppose it's a very it's an interesting time at the moment, and we'll deal with questions around school and stuff and the return to school, because across the globe a lot of children are going back to school and a lot of parents are maybe feeling that little bit anxious about that return to school and how it's going to look and how long it's going to last for. Are things going to change? And we'll also look a bit at sibling rivalry, and how that kind of manifests itself and how we can manage it without clunking heads together for the kids. I was on Virgin Media TV today with on the Elaine show with Claire, who was stepping in for Elaine, and we were talking a bit about the return to school. So I am hopeful that we will get that video up for you guys in the next 2 to 3 days on the platform, so you guys can see that if you're living outside of Ireland, or if you missed it, if you weren't tuned in just to see myself, that's absolutely fine, but we will get that up as well onto the social media pages for you guys. What else? So we have 2 parenting courses coming up online in September, on the 26th of September. They'll run for 4 hours. There's a general parenting, which will look at different basic skills that you can use to change things at home, but they're very easily implementable things. And it's about breaking it down and taking it one step at a time. So that is going to be run online on the 26th between 10 a.m. I think and 2 p.m. Irish time. We'll have a little break in there as well, don't worry about it. But we've actually reduced the fee for participants as well. So if you want to head over to our website, helpmetoparent.ie, you can sign up directly there for the reduced rate. I think we've knocked about 30 quid off it, because for 2 reasons. One, we don't have the outgoings of the room hire and all that, and the travel and stuff like that. But secondly, we are very aware that people have been dealing with a lot of financial difficulties during this time, and we want the courses to be accessible to everybody. So we have our general parenting on the 26th, and we also on the 26th have a parenting after separation and divorce, where we work with parents around how they can set up a new routine for the children, because with separation or divorce, we've gone from having 2 people involved in bringing up the children and putting the rules and boundaries in place to 1 person, and we can lose sight of the fact that we've got a new normal and the children have a new normal, and we have to change things around for that new normal in order for the children to be able to benefit and to feel as safe as they can, given what's going on for them and for you guys. So the parenting after separation and divorce course is a real kind of arm around you to kind of go, look, you can do the best that you can, and the certificate that you get is accepted by the Irish court system, which is always of benefit if you are going through that court process with the separation. So that's that. Yes, the Patreon page, patreon.com/Aladonu podcast. Thank you for the continued support. New subscribers this week. I really appreciate you guys subscribing, because people change, people go, and for whatever reason. So you guys help to make us, help us to make these podcasts come up. The Motivation Interview podcasts will hopefully return in early September, so we'll be getting them out. I'm hoping to have a few guests hopefully lined up in the next couple of weeks that we can get those. So we're getting back into it, guys. We're really getting back into it. But we're here to answer your questions. We got two crackers today. So first one up is, my son is 8 and is quite apprehensive about returning to school at the end of the week. I've been trying to keep him calm and reassure him that everything will be okay, but he just still seems quite on edge. Have you any suggestions as to how I can help him stay calm? So there's a collective anxiety um, around the world really at the moment, but especially for children returning to school. And I think what's going to be important is that we don't make this into more of an issue than it actually is. So it's absolutely natural and normal for your child to be apprehensive about going back to school anyway, on a normal year, on a typical year. And it's especially okay for them to be nervous and anxious about going back to school this year because they've been off for 6 months. And they're also going back into a school system that is quite different to what they've known in the past. And by that I mean they're going to have to social distance maybe. They're going to be in different pods with different people. They may not be with their friends. They may be with other people that they don't really have a connection with. The teachers are going to be wearing face coverings. The teachers are going to be wearing masks. They may have to look at getting to school differently to usual. So there's a lot up in the air outside of the normal way of being nervous about returning to school. So it's okay. It's all right if they're feeling a bit apprehensive. It's all right if they're a bit worried, if they're a bit concerned, if they're feeling a bit off or a bit, I don't know if I want to go back to school. It's okay. It's okay. The chances are your child is going to go back into school, and within days or certainly the first couple of weeks, they're going to be just grand because they're back in a routine. And I think that's really, really important to remember, is that there hasn't necessarily been a routine. So a lot of parents at the start of lockdown would have tried to put a routine in place for their kids and been quite successful at it. Some more so than others, but that's okay. But at the start they were able to have that routine. And as lockdown went on, that routine kind of slipped a bit and it dropped a bit, and it, maybe parents got tired, maybe school teachers weren't as open or as forward with information and work for the children, and things just slipped, and that's all right too. So the big thing is your child is going to be okay. You're reassuring him, which is what you can do. You can say, look, your teacher is going to know what to do. Your teacher is going to take care. If you're worried about anything, talk to your teacher, talk to us. That's all right. All you need to worry about is just make sure you wash your hands and your sanitizer and try and social distance as best you can. But remember, this lad is only 8. 8-year-olds jump on top of their friends. They hug their friends. They want to be arm in arm with their friends. They want to wrestle with their friends. And that's okay. We cannot live in a society. We don't know how long this is going to be. We cannot live in a society where we are completely physically distanced from other people that we care about. It's completely unnatural and will have more of a detrimental impact on our children. So if your child doesn't always social distance, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. They may get sick. You may get sick. Everyone might get sick. We don't know. But we can't forget the emotional impact that something like that would have on a large scale, over a long term, on our children. But for you, look at yourself and how you're managing your own kind of worry and concern about this. And some parents will be very anxious, other parents will be, look, it'll be what it'll be. But for you, your children will pick up on the anxiety if you're overly anxious. So maybe you've decided within yourself first that actually it's going to be all right. And it's very easy to get whipped up in a frenzy of social media where there is constant talk of Department of Education aren't doing this, government aren't doing this, schools aren't doing that. I heard it yesterday on the radio where people were texting into radio shows saying, teachers just need to shut up and get on with it. But maybe we all just need to take care of each other a bit more for the next few weeks to see how things go, because this is a new normal for everyone. And maybe, of course teachers are going to be concerned going in. None of them want to get sick. They all have families, they all have relatives that they don't want to pass on something either. So maybe we just need to go, do you know what? Let's just make sure that our little family is okay. And as long as the school are not being negligent, which I'm going to say 99% of schools probably won't be negligent, they're going to, no one wants your child to get sick. The teachers and schools are not trying to, get bundles of kids together, get them sick, so they're going to be off and lockdown again. That's not the way things are. They're not doing this out of badness. They're not, making changes to put pressure on parents. They're just trying to figure this out, like all of us, as best as they can. So maybe let's just take that break and look at, okay, what can I do? Get my child to wash their hands before they leave, wash their hands when they go to the toilet, and sanitize their hands, and then wash their hands when they come home. And if they have to wear a mask and social distance as best as they can. But if they don't, let's not go over the top. Let's not go crazy. Let's not go, you're ruining things and you're really worried. You're not being responsible for an 8-year-old. An 8-year-old, how much responsibility does an 8-year-old have? Have some fun and wash your hands after you pee. That's okay maybe for your child right now. And just see how it goes. Now, if he's still worried and anxious in 3 weeks' time, well then absolutely come back to me. Please do come back to me, and we can look at other things that may be going on for him and other solutions. But right now, it's okay for him to be nervous. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be a bit concerned because he doesn't know what he's going back to, and neither do you, so it's all right. Let's give ourselves a break, okay? Today I've got Daisy the dog with me. Okay, second question for today. I have 2 sons who are really good boys. My eldest son is very artistic and spends hours reading up on art history, while my younger son is more into his sports and is a bit of a daredevil. They don't really do much together, and for the most part just ignore each other but when they fight, it is like World War III. What worries me is that they have nothing in common, and they tease each other about the things that the other one is interested in, and that sets both of them off. I've been caught in the crossfire a couple of times, and both are getting close to teenage years, and I'm concerned that when they are bigger, I physically won't be able to break them up, and they could really hurt each other. I don't want them to be best friends, but I do want them to respect each other and their differences. How can I get them to do this? How do you get them to respect each other? It would be fantastic if you just turned around and said, you need to respect him and you need to respect him. But unfortunately, that's not how the world works. They are brothers, they have very little in common, and it seems like any little spark is going to set them off. Plus, the fact they've probably been on top of each other for the last 6 months, as have you, and that can be very it can cause conflict and confrontation. So what I'd say to you is, you can't get them to respect each other, right? You can encourage it, but you can't make it happen. But maybe they will. The other thing is, if we look at general families, when they do fight and argue as kids, it's just a normal way of being because they didn't choose to have a brother or sister. And of course they're going to feel that the other person gets more than they do, or is more spoiled, is more preferred as a child. That's just a way of them figuring out where they are in this world. There is a good chance that these 2 lads are going to be pretty good friends or close when they get older, when they become adults. Now, I know your worry right now is that well, they might kill each other before they get to adulthood, and that is an absolutely legitimate concern to have. But if we strip it back, respect, okay, what is respect? It's about me looking at another person and going, whatever they're into, whatever their interests are, that's absolutely fine for them, and my interests and the way I am in this world is fine for me. Okay, so I would suspect that most of the time they do actually respect each other in that respect, where they are not every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, poking the bear, really trying to frustrate the other person. They probably just get on with their own things. So there is that respect most of the time. It's just, we just remember the times that they disrespect each other, because that's when the flare-up happens and we have to deal with a situation. So when we look at it from a different perspective, they do respect each other and look at each other as, grand, whatever, most of the time. So that helps you to look at, what is it that I need to actually deal with? Well, it's the punching the head off each other, right? That's actually what the problem is here, that they are getting physically aggressive with each other, and that's not okay. And it's all right for you to manage the situation. And actually, if that's all you have to deal with, and I don't want to belittle that, but what I mean is that that's the only real issue that's going on here, that's much easier to change. So you sit them both down. You say, it is clear, right? You are very different people, and that's fantastic. I love the fact that you're different people, that you're into different things, that you care about different things. I love it, right? And I completely acknowledge that most of the time you guys get on. You don't fight with each other, you don't punch the heads off each other most of the time. You're good lads. I like you, right? But there is an issue that we need to deal with. That when one of you says something to the other that triggers, you guys go to physical violence, okay? And that's not okay. That's not the way to manage the situation. Would you do that outside? If you would, that's not okay either, all right? And name what you've named here. You're both turning into teenagers, you're both getting bigger, and as you both know, I've been caught in the crossfire here. I don't want that, and I don't want one of you swinging at the other one and actually hitting me by accident. I don't want that, and I'm sure you guys don't want that. So we need to change it. And then what you do is you look at both of them and look at what are the consequences that will actually really have an impact on both of them separately, because they could be different. For one, you might take away going to his sport. For the other, you might take away his books or his art. Now, you don't want to get to that point, and that's why you're having this conversation first and having the warning or the pre-discussion to kind of go, look lads, I don't want to do this. I don't want to take away X. I don't want to take Y from you. But your behaviour is going to dictate if that actually happens. And I'm not going to be getting into he said this, she said this, blah, 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 blah. If there's physical violence, you will lose something. Okay? And work to that. Now, you might be sitting there going, yeah, but Alan, if one fella, really winds up the other one and the other fella turns around and goes, boom, well, is that his fault? Well, yes, it is his fault for punching him. So he does need to get a consequence. The other guy definitely needs to get a consequence for poking the beast, and maybe his one needs to be stronger than the other guy's one. But if you want to cut out the violent behaviour, you need to give the people who've been violent a consequence, even if the other person poked them. Because what you're trying to do is teach them that there is another way to go about it. Now, they might go, well, what other way do I have? Because I just react. Well, if this guy is poking at you and poking at you, get up and leave. Come and talk to me. Say to him, stop being a dick, and walk out of the room. There are always other options, because that could be the case outside of home in real life, where there are other people poking at them, and they don't have to get into a physical altercation over it. They can just manage it differently. And give them these potential ways to manage it. Now, just because you've said it, they might go, "Man, you are absolutely spot on. We will never, ever," let's get our halos out, "we will never, ever, 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 ever hit each other ever again." And literally 5 minutes later, they both come tumbling down the stairs because they're punching the heads off each other. Like, there is a good chance you will have to actually put this in place, and you will have to put the consequences in place. But if you've been clear with them about the consequence, well, then you're clear within yourself what the consequence is, and that behavior is not okay. You're the one who's going to have to be consistent. Okay? You're the one who's going to have to be consistent. It's crap. It's shit. It's not what you want, but it is what it is. It's part of the job of being a parent. None of us want to do it. None of us don't want it. We don't want to have to correct our kids over anything. We want them to just go, we say to them, do this, and they do it, and we're grand. But that's not the way the world works, unfortunately. And yeah, it would be pretty boring if it did. So sit them down, have a conversation, lay it out on the line. Why, acknowledge them first of all. Acknowledge that they actually go along with the boundaries most of the time, and they show respect to each other most of the time. Acknowledge that. It's important that they get the acknowledgement. Then look at those little times, those rare times that they do get into a fight, okay? And then look at the consequences and name the consequences so that they are aware before anything kicks off. And it's not on the back of an argument where you're going to have to pull an idea out of your head and go, "That's it, Xbox is gone for 6 months." And you're like, "Oh God, why did I say that? I have to roll back on it now." You're clear, they're clear, and see how it goes. It might not work. It might not work. And if it doesn't work, come back to me. We look at different ways, but it might work. But be consistent. Trust yourself that you can do it. It's not necessarily going to be easy. It might take a lot of work, and you could be stressed, tired, frustrated with work. You might be looking at your partner going, "I can't stand the look of you." Whatever it might be. But for this, you're trying to take one of those stresses away from you in the long term. And the other thing is, the next time it happens, don't go, "See, it didn't work, it's never happened," or "it's happened again." What you might find is, or what you might have to look at is, well, actually, it's happening less and less. So you're getting incremental improvement, which is really important to acknowledge that there are those improvements, because it's not just going to go, boom, that's it, everything's fine. It's going to take a little bit of time and a bit of work. But you can do it. You absolutely can do it. I have no doubt in my mind. Give it a go. See how you get on. And come back to me. Please do. That's us for this week. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And we'll be back next week at our normal 5:30 slot, which seems to be working out okay for all of us. Thanks very much, guys. See you next week. Take care.